Ladies and gentlemen, nice to meet you here, and already Michal told some words about me. So this presentation is about product innovation with TRIZ, but it is not just about product innovation, and it's not just presentation. Also during this presentation you will learn one interesting thing, or maybe two interesting things, which you can later use in your life with probably success. Alright, so I'm Valeri Souchkov, and I have a company, Agilia training consultant located in Valeri and the Netherlands. And my everyday job is to create innovations, or to create ideas for innovation. So basically that's my experience. I used to run a help with approximately 100 innovation projects worldwide. I worked with approximately 200 companies, big companies, mostly big companies, but small companies as well. So you can see I've been involved to a number of different things, while it's just a small fraction of things I worked on. But what you see here are cars, are soaps, even cakes. But the most interesting thing that my major background comes from computer science and engineering and IT. I programmed in 12 languages. And basically in the year of 1989 we established a company which was called Invention Machine. Have you ever heard about such company? If you go to inventionmachine.com you will find it. That's today a world leader in making software for supporting inventive and innovative activities. I'm not with that company anymore. I resigned somewhere in 1996. The company is located in Boston. Why did I resign? I love software. I love IT, you know. But after 10 years of working hard on developing software that invents, I realized one thing, that we are too far away from the software which can invent. Instead, we have something here. It's our brain, it's our mind. And, you know, when we look around, we see innovation. Innovation is everywhere, absolutely everywhere. In business, in technology, in social world, it's everywhere. And innovation is not just something done for making more money or increasing profits. Innovation done is for evolution. So innovation is evolution, in fact. And by making innovations, we're not only involved in these cameras, not only involved in these presenters, laptops, or our phones. We also evolve ourselves and our brain. Our mind evolves. It's a tool, yes, and it's evolving. Like this camera has been evolving for about, I don't know how many years, 40, 50 years. And now it's very compact and very powerful, provides professional quality. And our brain does the same. Our brain is evolving. So I decided to focus more on how brain works. But I was not interested in neurophysiological principles of our brain. I was interested in something else. So let me show you. Have you ever heard the word TRIZ? Okay, how many of you know what TRIZ is? Please raise your hands. Okay, 4 persons, that's perfect for this presentation. It's usually what it happens. But I want to show you this slide before I get to the context. Let's have a look at 2 companies. And these 2 companies are definitely innovative. You know both, right? One is Sony Corporation, and other is Samsung. Well, Samsung is a group, and in this presentation I'm only talking about Samsung Electronics, which is one of the Samsung companies. Look what happened. In the year 2000, Samsung had 75,000 employees, and their revenues were 27 billion American dollars. Sony, the same year, 180,000 employees, revenues 85 and 500,000 dollars. 10 years later, what do we have? Look, Sony, 171, so 10,000 less, and revenues have grown 76, almost 77,000, 70,000 billion. But look at Samsung. Huge growth comparing to here, twice, and more than 4 times in revenues, 110 billion. Why did it happen? Of course, there are many factors which impacted such a growth of Samsung. But one very important factor was
that Samsung incorporated TRIZ corporate-wide. Every engineer who joins Samsung must go through 80 hours of training in TRIZ. There are 100 full-time TRIZ experts working at Samsung Electronics. So I'm opening now a secret which is not very well known to the entire world. Now you know it. So, did you know that Intel Corporation established TRIZ as an innovation platform of Intel for the 21st century? And now you are telling me that you don't know what TRIZ is? How is it possible? How come?
You do bad marketing.
Huh?
You do bad marketing.
I do that marketing, right, I agree. But actually the trouble is also that those companies which use TRIZ very actively today, I'm talking about Samsung Corporation, I'm talking about Procter & Gamble, I'm talking about Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin doesn't want others to know what they do, in fact. So, now I want to tell you a little story about TRIZ. And I want to show you how TRIZ can help us, and each one of us. First, before I start, I will talk about innovation and invention. You know, when you go to LinkedIn or some other social network or some innovation conference, there are always a mess about what is invention and what is innovation. For that, I introduced the 5 variables formula, in which I put simply 5 factors. So innovation, it's very general. Innovation, it's a whole process. It starts with a new idea. But you finding this new idea, generating this new idea, is also part of innovation. So next step would be a successful implementation of this idea. Once we found an idea, it's not enough. We want to know that this idea works. Actually, you can patent anything you want, except, well, time machine or something else. It's forbidden, but any stupid idea you can actually patent. Do you know that in the patent collection of United States, there are 76 patents specifying how to hold that stick with which you play golf? How it's called? How it's called?
Golf club.
Huh?
Golf club.
Golf club. 76 patents. So when you go to the United States, actually you cannot play golf because however you take this club, actually you are violating the patents. Really? What I found in American Patent Library was really amazing. Actually, there is a patent given issued in 1984, where a guy proposes, well, you see, I'm getting older, so a number of my hair is getting away. Actually, but I still have hair here. You know what patent says? Actually, you can solve this problem by growing your hairs here and then putting them across your bald. It's patented, you cannot do it, you see. Really? What I want to say. Well, actually it works, it's successful. Anyway, but actually showing that the idea can work, it's not enough. The idea has to be demanded by the market. It has to have a certain value. So when I'm talking about innovation, I'm talking about something which I call value innovation. That this innovation actually brings something to the world. It improves something, it makes something better. But it's not enough. If you develop an iPhone and put a price tag of $1 million American on it, who is going to buy this device? It's not enough just to develop all this. To make your innovation successful, it's important that your innovation is accessible to the market segment you are targeting at. If you do not do that, you fail. I will tell you some more secrets during this half an hour. Some more secrets. Okay. Okay, again, second, what is innovation? Oh my God. Actually, I split innovation into 11 entry points, or actually tasks, where we can innovate. So first of all, and it's actually a pyramid, you see. This pyramid is inverse. What does it mean? It means that the tasks, innovation tasks which are listed above, have much broader distribution than these ones. So if you look, for instance, at patents, you will see that most of patents go here and only few patents are here. So what on what most of people or companies or businesses innovate on. First of all, it's improving quality of products and services. Second, it's improving performance of products, services, and technologies, and so forth. Then, it's increasing compactness of products and processes. Fourth, improving design and aesthetics. Then, improving comfort and usability. Creating new designs. Adding new functions or features. Radically cutting costs. Usually we don't talk about cost cutting as innovation, but it's a huge area for innovation. Technology transfer for market expansion. For instance, you invented a product, and you invented it to meet a demand within a certain area. But a little bit later you realize that there is a similar demand in a different area. And you actually start adapting your product to that different area. Think about a laser. When a laser was invented, I read a paper which was dated by 1968, that the engineers at that time and marketeers only saw one of the possible application areas for lasers, spectrometry. Nobody believed that lasers are useful for anything else. How many lasers each of you has at this moment? I counted 7 within my bag. Creating a radically new product. Here we're talking about really pioneering innovations. And finally, creating totally new technology, like X-ray scanning or something like that. So we have to imagine that when we want to innovate, we have to answer the question, what are we going to do? Are we going to improve quality, negative some unwanted effects or negative effects, or we want to improve performance, and so forth and so forth. Or we want to create a totally new product. Well, often when you hear stories from businesses, from companies, they're talking, hey guys, we brought a new product to the market, beautiful product. When you come and see, okay, this is a bottle with a blue label, and now they start selling bottles with a red label. And they're proudly saying, we have a new product. No, definitely it's not a new product. It's not even a new feature, right? It's innovation. We don't call this innovation in our approach. It's a modification, but it's not innovation. It's a change, but it's not innovation. It's not enough yet to be innovation. Now let's imagine. We realized that we have to create innovation. And I'm going back to this slide. What I'm going to talk here, it's about this part, and this part. I'm not going to talk about this part and this part. Well, why? Because we have some good tools, actually, and good approaches for this part. And we think that this part is easy. It's not true. And I will show you why within a second. So we call this part front end of innovation. So TRIZ actually is needed to support a front end of innovation. Why do we need that? Let's have a look. Well, actually, any innovation brings improvement to this world. It evolves something. Now I want to ask you a brilliant question. I mean, the brilliant question is not mine, of course, but when you go to a store, you see lots of different products, great variety. You go to a supermarket, or you go to an electronics store, whatever. When you go 6 months later, you see that approximately 70 or 80% of products are replaced with something else, something new, something better, something shiny. What do you say? Wow, these companies are very innovative. They change their product so fast. Well, do you agree with me? Do they change their products or replace their products because they are innovative? No. You're alone who's saying no. No. Why do you think so? Why do you say that no?
It's because we want new products, so they are changing something.
Oh yes,
Make sure we think that it's new and you would buy it.
That's also true. But do you know a real true answer?
To keep their jobs.
Huh?
To keep their jobs.
Well, close. But if you don't have money, you don't keep jobs. So the true answer is they have to replace, they have to bring new products because these products do not sell and do not bring return of investment. That's simple reason. Because, let's say imagine I'm a CEO of the company and I'm producing these bottles and I'm saying, okay guys, we need an idea for a new product, for a new bottle. Let's come here. But remember, we only have 2 hours. Let's brainstorm. So we brainstorm, we generate 1,000 of ideas. Then we try to select the best ideas. And definitely we do. Yes, you know, it's a Swiss knife. And when I saw it on the web first time, I saw it was a joke. But actually it's not a joke. You can buy one. You pay 849 American dollars. You can order it from thingeek.com. It's available. Yes, it's a real product. It's over there. Okay. So the question is, well, usually we used to evaluate our creative productivity in a number of ideas which we produce. But is it true? Maybe we just want to produce one, but great idea, which brings most value. Because, as I say, we evolve things only if we improve. And basically, what is the best innovation? Well, I will explain two. How do we deal in this situation of brainstorm? We are given a specific task. A task might come from these 11 starting points, entry points, which I already have presented. And what do? We immediately start generating ideas. We produce specific solutions, and then we evaluate and select them. And we use the right part of our brain, which, as we know, is responsible for creativity and for imagination. But there is one trouble with imagination. That's how imagination usually works. Yes. Yeah, that's how it works. And you see, actually, that's good and great imagination. You see something, you imagine that you see something, but it's not what you want, actually, and it's not what is needed. So, what happens when we try to fulfill a certain demand, to solve a complex problem, to find an inventive or innovative solution? Let's imagine this is a big sewer space, and we are standing here. And all this red space are ideas which have no any value or which you cannot implement, and so forth. But there is a yellow area, yellow segment in this area. And yellow segment are strong solutions, solutions which actually work, and solutions which are within the boundaries which you want, which you established, or your boss has established, or your market has established. For instance, I said that for instance, telephone, mobile phone should not cost more than 1,000 euros, for instance. And within this yellow area, there is a small green area where we have the best solutions, best ideas. And these best ideas provide you with maximum value, but for the lowest costs. And actually, while standing there, I want to go to this green area. But how? Instead, when I do trials and errors, I jump here, I jump here, I jump here, I jump here, I jump here. And the more difficult task is, the more trials I have to do. But all these trials result in errors. And I've got to kiss a lot of frogs before I find my partner. So there are certain, and actually there are methods like brainstorm, synaptics, lateral thinking, and so forth, and so forth, and so forth, which actually try to expand this area. So there are two approaches. One approach thinks that you have to expand it, and another approach, systematic approach, thinks that you don't have to expand it. But you have to have something which guides you through this space, which directly brings you to this green area. But is it possible? We used to think about creativity as some highly unstructured process. You know, I'm living in the Netherlands, and you know perhaps which tool we use for boosting creativity. Huh? If you ever been to the Netherlands, you probably visited a coffee shop. Right? That's a place where you actually don't have coffee. You do something different. But so, and the price we pay, it's total disaster today. Industrial Research Institute in Washington, D.C. estimated that to bring one successful project to the market, you need to bring 100 small projects to the market. And to bring these 100 small projects, you need to generate from 1,000 to 5,000 raw ideas. Which actually brings us another figure, that 94.6% of all money which are invested to research, development, new idea generation, innovation activities are waste. So, it's clear today that we cannot use this highly structured approach anymore. So approximately 60 years ago, Russian engineer Henry Altshuler decided to establish a science of innovation, science of creativity actually. There are two approaches to creativity. One approach is very simple. It's been done by psychologists. No, I don't want to say anything bad about psychologists because my wife is a psychologist, my daughter is a psychologist, so, you know, my place used to be a little bit strange place where all the experiments were conducted and I was an animal, you know, on which all these experiments used to be done. Well, I'm joking, of course, but anyway. So, what psychologists do? For instance, they know that someone, well, for instance, Michal is a great inventor. He makes great inventions. So what they do? Every day they try to capture about surroundings of Michal and some certain attributes of Michal. For instance, the shoes he wears, the coat he wears, and he wears perhaps a red coat and yellow shoes. So they make a conclusion that to be creative, you have to wear a red coat and yellow shoes. Yes? Yeah, of course. Because if he, sorry, Michal, of course, I don't know if you ever wear yellow shoes. Like, that's just, I'm using it as an example, right? And another approach, Altshuler actually discarded totally a personality. What he started to look at, he took approximately, together with his associates, they took approximately 400,000 patterns intentionally drawn from totally different areas of industry and analyzed them. And their goal was to see, are there any similarities among totally different solutions? And you know what? Approximately 20 years of study brought them to an amazing result. First, yes, these similarities exist. And second, the number of such similarities, or let's say patterns, is not that high. Today we know approximately 100, 120 such similarities. These are patterns of creative solutions. And what's most important, that these patterns are universal. Some speaker here this morning thought that she does not believe to universal things. Yes, some of you heard, yes, probably. And I immediately thought, I know about the third law of Newton. You know, third law of Newton? Action is equal to anti-action. And it's absolutely universal, at least on this planet.
That's the limit.
Yes. If I go to this wall and punch it with my hand, I know what will happen. Yes. Okay. So, as a result of this study, was the formation of a theory of solving inventive problems, which actually TRIZ was taken from Russian language. You can read it. Теория решения изобретательских задач. TRIZ, TRIZ, correct? Easy. So, and of course, Altshuler was engineer, and his team was engineers. So approximately 50 years, TRIZ has been evolving for engineers. You know, hardware engineers, for machinery, you know, for machines, for cups, for bottles, for that stuff. But we realize that these patterns are totally universal. Why? Very important thing. Because everything are systems. Company is a system. Camera is a system. Software is a system. Everything's idea is a system. Every system consists of components. These components interact with each other. And you know what? When we're trying to solve a problem or to generate a new idea, what we do? Either we change a system or create a new system, or we eliminate a system. And the patterns, thinking patterns, are actually identical. That's why within the last 10 years we've got expansion of TRIZ to different areas. For instance, there is also, it's called systematic innovation today. TRIZ is the original name, but systematic innovation means TRIZ for different areas. So this is a book which is called Systematic Software Innovation. This is for software. You can have a look at it. So, I want now to tell you something more about these patterns. First of all, I want to stress on your attention that in TRIZ there is more than just these patterns. But these patterns are an essence of TRIZ. I will skip some slides. But why do we use innovation? If you look at the system, at any product, or any process, or any service, we can describe it by its degree of so-called ideality. And what is that? There are three general variables. Again, universal. Every system brings a certain value to the world. And these are useful effects delivered by that system. But to bring this value, you have to spend money. Costs, which are human resources, development, energy, consumption, information, maintenance, support. So you have to pay for this value. But these effects, or this value created by these effects, is reduced by certain unwanted or negative effects. For instance, if I use a laptop, I want it to be performing very high performance. But at the same time, I don't want to have a heavy and a bulky laptop. So very often, to improve this part, we have to pay this price. So the ideal system will be, when you only have useful effects, you don't have costs to deliver these effects, and you don't have negative effects. So almost every innovation actually results in working on either any of these three variables or on all these three variables. So we can set up a goal. What do we want? We want to increase useful effects, to add new useful effects. Or we want to increase quality by removing unwanted effects. Or we want to cut costs. Or maybe we want to increase useful effects, increase quality, and reduce costs. Perfect scenario. But it's different. So, and what will be the best solution? A best product, or best service, or best solution will fulfill 5 criteria. Will meet 5 criteria. First, it has to solve a problem in full. For instance, if we innovate on, within a second I will explain you why do we call it a theory of solving inventive problems. Because you might look at me and say, why are you talking about problems? We are talking about innovation, adding new functions, etc. But believe me, the only way to deliver a really winning innovative product or a service to the market is happening when this product or the market or a new feature or a function solves a certain problem or meets a certain need of a customer of this product or a process or a service. So once there is a need, there is a problem, right? Okay. So I have to solve this problem in full, or I have to deliver this need in full, meet this need or demand in full. Second, I already mentioned, look, I want a highly performing laptop, but then it becomes big and bulky. How can I do that? How can I manage this situation? I can optimize. I can optimize between performance and the bulkiness of this laptop. But now we are talking about TRIZ. Engineers don't do that. Inventors do different things. But standard classical engineering thinking is optimization. Inventive thinking is breaking the rules, ruining optimization, creating win-win. So the ideal laptop will be a laptop which is performing 20 petaflops per second and actually fits to my pocket. That would be an ideal laptop for me. This new laptop should not create harmful side effects. It should cost me 10 euros, and maybe it does something else. For instance, it can, I don't know, make omelette or toasts and so forth. That would be a winning product. So, with TRIZ, instead of this, what we do? We are not jumping, because I said, it's how. The toughest problem is, okay, I want to create a highly performing laptop, which costs nothing and weighs nothing. Is it possible? Everybody will tell me, almost everybody. Only people who know TRIZ will tell me that it is possible. Others will definitely tell me it is not possible. That's why the motto of my company, to possible through impossible. Well, actually, it is impossible. It is assumption. And in 99% of cases, it is a wrong assumption. So, instead of trying to find a solution on this specific level, we actually have tools in TRIZ to abstract our problem and then apply TRIZ solution patterns and inventive principles to obtain active solution. And the storage space here reduces immensely. Let me show you. What I mentioned, the situation is contradiction. And what is a contradiction? It happens when two contrary demands are put on the same object or a system. For instance, a mobile phone, it should be large enough so it's comfortable to talk, and it should be small so it fits my pocket. A city bus has to be very long because it has to take a lot of passengers, but at the same time, it's in an old city. In the Netherlands we have lots of small old cities. It cannot turn. The streets are very narrow and short. So the bus should be very long and should be very short. I remember my time when I programmed in Fortran 20 years ago, somewhere. The program was growing, and actually became very big, so it became complex, and I could not manage it anymore. So I wanted it to be complex and to be simple. As I said, most of classical thinkers, actually all we are classical thinkers, we start compromising. But inventors, really creative people, they do not compromise. They break the contradiction. You have to break the rule. You have to break the contradiction. You have to overcome it. You have to create a telephone, a mobile phone, which is small when you carry it and big when you're talking to it. Do you know how to do it? No. Such phones exist, actually.
Folded.
Huh?
Foldable.
Exactly, yes. So, what to do with that bus, which is too long? We want to have it very, very long, but then it cannot turn. How to resolve this contradiction?
Break in the middle. Turn.
Exactly. So these are solutions. We make a sliding or a flip-flop phone. We break the bus. We make it of 2 segments. And instead of one large body of program, we create software from object-oriented programming. First was Modular 67, in which you use objects instead of this long text. What is that? It's also break into segments. So now you learn a fundamental creative principle of thinking, a principle of segmentation. It says, if you experience a contradiction, if you meet a certain demand, well, I'm talking about Agile as well. I didn't know much about Agile before I met actually Michal. And but looking at Agile, like a quick response, decision making, etc., I realized, oh my God, actually these two things coincide, because if you want to make a quick decision, for instance, on a change, and you have a demand, and you have a contradiction or conflict of two demands. For instance, you know that you have to rewrite, if you're in software engineering, a lot of code, but you do not have time for it. Well, you say, okay, we can't do it. No, we can do it. If we apply these kind of things, these kind of creative patterns of inventive thinking. Divide your system or object into separate, preferably independent parts or sections. Make your system or object easy to put together or take apart. Compose your system or objects from segments. Increase the amount of segmentation or number of segments. Divide your process or its part to segments. Increase the degree of process segmentation. These are some examples. And if you look around, the examples of segmentation are absolutely everywhere. Well, Windows interface is segmentation. It's a segmentation of your screen to many screens. I love this. It's a picture by Salvador Dali of a woman hat made from spheres. Van Gogh, segmented colors. tea clippers were the fastest ships on the sea because they had a contradiction. To increase the power of a ship, you had to increase the size of its sail. But when you make a huge sail, you cannot control this ship anymore. So the big sail was segmented out of many small ones. You see segmentation in nature everywhere. You see segmentation in business. Project management. You break a project to smaller parts. When you evaluate something, you have criteria. And it's often difficult to apply criteria because criteria might be quite general. You break it into several criteria. So now you learn a very interesting, innovative thinking pattern, a principle of segmentation. Well, in TRIZ we went more. We created certain tables, matrices, how to use inventive principles. So for instance, today 40 such inventive principles or thinking patterns are known. So if you know your contradiction or your conflict, you can find those are numbers of inventive principles. You can use these matrices which are available for technology, businesses, software. It gives you a systematic support, systematic entrance to the needed principles which match your situation. We have even more. 60 years of research, a lot. We have understood the trends of evolution, how systems evolve. That there is, for instance, a trend of so-called dynamization. That systems tend to become more and more dynamic. Like this. Well, I have very little time left for my presentation, so I don't get to details, but you actually can, if you're interested, purchase TRIZ books and have a look more on these examples. Well, and today we have the front end of innovation covered with a process. 6 steps. First, we want to understand what do you want to innovate. What is the scope of your task? Then we are looking what a problem is. Once we found a problem, we decompose it, or a challenge, to a number of sub-problems. Then we select ones we want to work with. Then we apply TRIZ tools, like these collections of thinking patterns, to generate new ideas. Then we build ideas portfolio and select the best candidates for solution. So as a result of this process, we do not generate 1,000 ideas. We generate maybe 10 ideas, but those ideas which can really solve your problem, solve your challenge, with the highest degree of ideality, which I already showed you. So, and today in TRIZ we have over 30 tools which can help us with each step. Well, there are certain, for instance, one of the most famous examples of TRIZ applications was created by Procter & Gamble, Crest White Strips. It was developed by a former colleague of mine, which actually was most successfully commercially successful product of Procter & Gamble so far. Within 1 year of sales, $135 million. There are 160 books on TRIZ in 10 languages. So, these are companies which are using TRIZ. So, summary. First of all, well, you have to understand that our mind is not chaotic. Our mind is smart, and it uses patterns and structures approach. Creative thinking patterns can be studied and are being studied. There is a systematic approach to creative innovation. And finally, innovation starts from many entry points and tasks. And innovation, especially front management of innovation, front end of innovation today is manageable. So, I want to thank you very much. This is where you can find some more information on TRIZ. This is my email address, and this is me on the top of Leonardo House in the village of Vinci in Italy. Thank you very much.